Welcome, everybody, all the beautiful people out there in the world, to the greatest sports show on the planet. I hope y'all ready for a ride tonight. Gas presents Sports for the Culture. I'm here with the family, La Familia. Feel me? The biggest and largest in charge in the sports world. I'm gonna start introducing the panel. Let me introduce myself first. Y'all know me. I'm Scruff Lion. Y'all know what time it is. It's time for us to get into it. We'll go ahead and introduce the panel. Top right, introduce yourself.
At Bryce XXV double I, aka Mr. Big Leaguer. If you know, you know. If you don't know, go ask somebody, man. Let's get it.
Absolutely. Bottom left. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
As
Hey, it's your
always,
boy.
baby. Oh, my bad. I was anxious. I was
The other
anxious.
left.
Hey, got our
I
left and
was
our right.
anxious.
Hey, man, as you can see, man, we're excited for this show, bro. It's your boy Rome. You know, that's Young Rome 22 on all the socials. Got a lot of NBA to talk about. Got some fantasy football. It's that time of year. Let's get it, man.
Absolutely. T, we ain't forget about you, dog. It should go.
Hey,
I'm so used to being on the bottom left. Hey, but T Boogie, man, two E's, two underscores, add a boogie. Same thing every week. Wash your hands, be safe out there, man. Especially if you know what I'm saying, you're a minority, you're a person of color. Please be safe. And yeah, just be safe, man. That's all I can really say right now, man. Let's get it started though. Let's go.
Absolutely, man. It's a lot of stuff going on. We're gonna get into it in more in depth in the later segments. For now, we're gonna give you that usual, that regular schedule NBA programming, which has pretty much been consuming the airwaves on the regular, pretty much all afternoon. Today was actually the first day where I didn't have an afternoon game. Maybe I'm being spoiled, but maybe I'm just getting used to it, man. I like the NBA action. Series are starting to get pretty interesting right now. We've got a couple big series. I'm gonna go ahead and jump in with I guess you could say the most talked about series so far, which is the Lakers and the Blazers. Now, this was pretty much the early sentiments of an upset, which the point where the Blazers got the first game, and we haven't actually seen the Blazers' victory since then. And now things are looking a little bit different, and they've had some pretty good games, but now we're looking at a 3-1 Lakers lead. So we got to jump in right into the Lakers Blazers. Are the Blazers done? Is it over for Dame Lillard? Another little tidbit I got to sprinkle in there. Dame is officially out for Game 5. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to jump in. Rome, what do you think about the Blazers? Are the Blazers done? Is it over for the Lakers? For the Blazers, the Lakers got clear shot from here. What's up?
Man, the Lakers had a clear shot the whole time, man. It was all just, smoke, a lot of talk. Everybody, we all like to talk, and try to hype teams up. But if you were thinking the Blazers were gonna sweep the Lakers, you were wrong. If you were thinking this series is gonna go to 7 games, you were wrong. LeBron and the boys were always gonna bury the Blazers at one point or another. They gave them the first game. Dame came in hot. Dame was the man at the time, but all that was always gonna go away. This is bronze. This is bronze time, bro. And I know some people don't want to hear it, but this is bronze time, and he's about to take over for the rest of the playoffs, in my opinion. That's what I'm calling. I think the Bron that we saw last night, we might not see that every single game, but we'll see more of that than what we saw in Game 1.
Okay. We have you on the Bron hype train. T, from the other side of the coalition, man. Are you sold now on the Lakers? Are the Lakers done? Is it already advanced to the next round for the Lakers, or do the Blazers still have some fight left in them?
I mean, without Dame, Blazers are done. Even if they get one more, man. I need to. I'm not gonna walk it back, but I said it was kind of AD's team. But at least in this series, the series is kind of gone how LeBron's gone. I mean, those first 2 games, Blazers got one, but LeBron kind of struggled shooting. Once LeBron turned it on, the Lakers turned it on. Caldwell Pope is shooting good. Danny Green is lighting it up. I mean, he's still the heart and soul of the team at this old age. I hate to call him old, but he's old for an NBA player. And I think they're really living and dying with LeBron. And for this series, it's working.
So far, so good for the Lakers. Bryce, are you wrapping up this series for the Lakers? Is it donezo for the Blazers?
Yeah, man. Now the Dame Lillard game one, his first couple games, it was cool. I love to see it, but I think we all knew from the jump this was the Lakers series, to win or to lose. and they decided to turn it on, mainly LeBron James. I mean, I don't know how y'all didn't expect it from Bron. This is what LeBron does. I mean, he has a switch. He has a switch that few players have. I think we talked about this a few episodes ago about how some players have that switch and they can turn it on and turn it off. And sometimes, you may see that and you feel like this guy's just coasting or this guy don't got it anymore. But like LeBron calls it, man, he went dark mode on him, and it was way too much for the Blazers to handle. Now the question is, who will his second round opponent be, and can he afford to sleep that early? Can he afford to sleep the first game or two and still win the series? Yet to be seen, but never doubt LeBron James. I think we should all learn that by now.
Yeah, I mean, everybody was pretty quick to jump on the worry bandwagon. Everybody was worried about the Lakers. Everybody was ready to call the Blazers a legitimate threat. And I ain't gonna lie, I was pretty hyped up on the Blazers as well. The injury hurts. There's a couple games that could have went differently. But I mean, you gotta like what you've seen out of the Lakers last night, especially with the Mamba Day celebrations. They wasn't gonna let the Mamba down. I've seen a couple memes out there with the Mamba hanging over top of the rim, looking like he was protecting them boys. Them boys couldn't get a bucket early on in that game, man. It's kind of wild. But all right, that's good to know. So everybody riding with the Lakers now. Is it too crazy to say, or am I wrong to say and ask this after a rough, not a rough series, but if they go gentlemen sweep 4-1, are the Lakers now the team to beat in the West? Jump off.
When weren't they the team to beat? When weren't they the team to beat, man? Are y'all talking about what was the team to beat? The Clippers, the number 2 seed, the team. What's their series looking like right now? I think we're gonna get in that in a minute. Come on, man. It was always the Lakers in the West, man. It always was. Bron is the king for a reason, man. Come on now. Okay. Why don't you hit us with some real news then? Who's taking it in the West if not the Lakers?
It's the Clippers. It's Kawhi, man. Who won the championship last year? Kawhi. Real time. What's going on right now? A Luka Doncic hype train. And Kawhi's got it together. It's the Clippers. How can it not be the Clippers? How?
Are they getting out the first round?
It's definitely
they are leading the current game right now. For those watching live at home, they are up by 20 points on the Mavs without Kristaps Porzingis. But so you ready to say that the Clippers are the favorites still, considering that?
I still think the Clippers are the favorites. I still think they're the toughest matchup for the Lakers. I still think LeBron is I don't think he has a switch. I'm not sure what Bryce means by a switch. I think he comes to the game and sometimes he's on, sometimes he's off. I don't really see them getting past the Clippers. That's just me.
Man, let me explain to you what I mean by a switch. Since it's seeing Luka Doncic go off and then being like, "Hey, Luka, let me show you something, bro. Let me show you something, bro. Let me remind you about something, bro." It's about knowing the moment. You see, it's a term going around right now. It's called read the room. LeBron just read the room of the NBA. He looked around. He said, "Oh, y'all like Luka? Y'all like Luka? Let me show y'all this. Let me show y'all what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna do it for one half. I'm gonna play 28 minutes. The game gonna be out of reach by the time I sit down. We only need me for 28 tonight. Come on, man. It's a switch. It's levels. And Luka, he may one day beat it, and I love this trajectory he's on. But when you talk about LeBron James, did y'all really think Dame Lillard's my man? Did y'all really think that was a threat? Really? Because I didn't. But you know who looks like a threat to the Clippers? Luka Doncic. So I think it might be worthy to jump into that.
Yeah, well, I mean, we got to talk about Luka right now. I mean, Luka's pretty much the hottest thing in the league. I mean, everybody kind of wanted to put Zion in that throne to be the hottest thing in the league, but he ain't even made the playoffs. Luka in here as a 7 seed making some legit noise, putting them crazy numbers, pretty much a threat to win a triple-double any night. I know a lot of teams out there punching themselves, punching the air, as some would say, about not being able to draft Luka Doncic. If they would only have been watching and paying attention to the stuff that I've been telling y'all, I had Luka Doncic ranked number 1 in my class with that year, and everybody was sleeping. I was hoping my team would get smart enough to trade up. Hey, but the Dallas Mavericks got him, and now they right here, the 7th seed. Is it safe to say that Luka's proven the doubters wrong? And are the Clips in trouble, man? Like, honestly, who knows what's going to happen in this game? Luka could go crazy on him, but are the Clips in trouble? Are the Clips going to make it out of the first round? Is that a foregone conclusion? But I know T already said that he likes the Clips still to be the favorites in the West. But Bryce, Clips are are they in trouble?
Foregone conclusion for them to make it out? Definitely not, man. Like they're in a battle right now, and they're not in no battle where they just winning easily. You know what I'm saying? They in a real fight right now. Like I could see this going 7. Could I see them finishing in 6? Yes, I definitely could. But I could see this going 7 right now. Like this is a series. We have a series, folks, because we have a guy that can become the best player on the floor at any given moment, and that's Luka Doncic. I'm not saying he's a better player than Kawhi Leonard. I would never say that. You know, I'm leaning towards him being a better player than Paul George, but I still won't go there yet. But the fact of the matter is Luka can turn it on and he can become the best player on the floor like he did. And what was that game 4? He was definitely the best player on the floor. So if he does that for one more game, this is going 7, folks. Strap your seatbelts.
So you're telling me it's another guy with another switch. He can just turn it on too. If he could turn it on so much, he wouldn't have been a 7th seed. I'll tell you what's really at the heart of the series. It's not. I mean, Luka's balling out of his mind, and hats off to him. The sky's the limit for the kid. But what's happening is Paul George. Whoa, a little bit of Roni slipped out there.
My bad.
A little bit of Roni.
Well, what's happening is Paul George is playing prior to tonight, playing some of the worst basketball of his life. I mean, it was so bad that he turned off his social media comments. You know it's bad when you got to kill the outside noise. So as much as I want to big up Luka, this really comes down to the guy that finished 3rd in the MVP voting last year. Paul George just not stepping his game up and matching that potential that he has. So I don't know if those other 2 guys got a switch, but if these guys do have a switch, Paul George, hopefully he has one, and hopefully he's switching it now.
Yeah, man. I don't know about a switch, but I do think this series is going to go 7, and I'll take it a step further, man. I think Luka gets him. And if it goes 7, man, if the Clippers don't end it in 6, if there is a game 7, I'm taking Dallas. The Clips got to end it in 6. If you let a guy like Luka hang around, he's going to steal the show. That's what he's been doing the whole time they've been in the bubble, really, is stealing the show. I mean, I know a lot of teams are definitely punching the air, like Nick said, as far as passing up on him. I actually had a question for you fellas, though. Is part of the reason that you think Luka got slept on, does it have to do with him being a white dude? Do you think people potentially slept on him because of that? Or is it, the foreign aspect? Like, what is it? Because when I watch Luka, it's kind of mind-boggling that, people passed up on him because dude can straight ball. And, I think somebody made some comments towards him the other day, and then there was a little apology. So does race play any factor into this, or did the GMs just drop the ball?
Are we trying to say that Luka get the black quarterback treatment in the NBA? I don't know, man. I think the years of Darko Milicic and Jan Vesely and name that Euro that failed with the number 1 pick. I think years of that has scarred NBA GMs. I don't know, man.
Yeah, I would say it's not about more so him being white, doing what he doing and coming from where he came from, like you're overseas. In this draft and the way things are, you're going to go with it. You want the unknown, but you want some common. You want to know what you're dealing with. So when you're judging a guy like Luka Doncic and he's going against pros, he's only averaging like maybe 8, 9, 10 points a game, but he's going against pros. It's harder to evaluate, and like the unknown element is always hard because you got those Darko Milicics and the Jan Beasleys and the amount of guys that were top picks that didn't end up amounting to anything. So you got way more of those than you got Luka Doncic. So there's plenty of, reason to be speculative about like what can really be done. Because when you're watching the tape that you're watching, you have to watch it with a grain of salt. But you also got to just realize and just kind of take what you can from it and try to see what type of parallels that you can see from the game. Because what I saw when I watched Luka Doncic was, he may not be the most elite athlete. He may not be the most elite, jump around, do everything. He's not even that fast. But what he did do was he created separation. He had certain moves, certain skill set. He had a really dynamic combination of shooting and passing, which I think was enough in this league where, with the way things are going nowadays, you can see like he's doing excellent, So I wouldn't say it was because he's white, but, because he's from international. You know what I mean?
No, I'm gonna just say because he's white. Straight up, I like Bryce said, man. You had your John Vesleys, your Darkos, your Tishkavilis, if you even remember that guy. A lot of those guys start young over there, like you said about Luke. He's been playing pro for a while, but it's really, really hard to evaluate. Does it translate? And like the Hawks, man, you knew what you were getting in Trae Young. You have no idea. You don't even know if this guy wants to play in the U.S. that bad. I mean, he can come over and then, go right back. And some guys is drafted and never come over. But he got drafted. One thing about basketball, I guess basketball, football, a lot of pro sports, where you get drafted. I mean, not position-wise on the board, but what city, what team, what owner, what GM, what coach, that matters so much. And to be able to go to Dallas where they've had a lot of success with foreign players. They've had success with Dirk. They've had success with a lot of white guys. It was a good landing spot for him where the pressure wasn't too crazy and he was allowed to really develop and play his game as opposed to going to a team that already has a superstar where he has to kind of try to work his game in and be a role player and try to make it work. So I think it was just, perfect situation for him.
Yeah, that's an excellent point, T. That's an excellent point.
Yeah, I mean, you figured Dirk was coming in. Dirk was pretty much on his last leg when they brought in Luka. It wasn't even like he had to share the stardom. Dirk was pretty much on his way out. He was on his victory lap at that point. And he was like, hey, all right, Luka, hey, you're that guy. And they already had the international fan base. It was kind of ready made for him, but definitely interesting to watch Luka right now. Probably you could say he's elevating himself. And I think another added point I want to add to this whole situation, and I'm going to throw it back to y'all one last time, but one thing I'm thinking about with this whole bubble situation is this. Like you say, yeah, this guy Luka and the Mavs were a 7th seed, but typically, we're talking about an NBA offseason. Typically, NBA offseason wasn't NBA offseason, more or less like 3-4 months, right? Like that's kind of like what these players have had during this pandemic with this layover period. With this extra layover period, I have to wonder how much is that extra layover period almost like the progression of a whole nother season. Because I think Luka coming in now, yeah, they're the 7th seed, but like how much has that extra 3 months of preparation allowed him to grow his basketball IQ, become a better player? And in some ways, we're like seeing a preview of next season's Luka Doncic because like this dude is ascending and only getting better. So I'm wondering what y'all think about that extra time period. Because we've seen guys take major leaps in the 3 or 4 months since the season.
Yeah, I think that extra time, man, is really what you made of it. Because the same way we've seen some guys take leaps, I've seen some guys looking like slouches. I've seen some guys looking like they weren't ready. A couple guys looking like they was a little overweight. I ain't gonna name no names. But I think it's what you make of it. And I think when you have that moment, you're gonna see who capitalized. I think we can point to a guy like TJ Warren as one we know was taking advantage of those 3 months because he came out hot, on fire. I think about some of those young guys from the Blazers, like a Gary Trent. As soon as the league opened back up, he's leading the league in 3-point percentage. These are guys that took it seriously. Then you probably have some other guys that took it as a little vacay. And I can't blame them, young boys with a lot of money. But I'm just saying you could tell whose mind was on the game the entire time, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to further that point. Because there's probably some guys out there that it really wasn't a situation of working on their game. Some guys that probably stay in the gym, career athletes. But the outside noise was filtered out by the bubble. There is no wife or girlfriend in there with you, no side girl. You know what I mean? You're not on the plane traveling from city to city. Fans aren't booing you. Situations like that. I think we've seen free throw percentages go for a lot of guys. 3-point percentages just shows you how much the rigors and the pressure of the typical NBA day to day really affect some of these guys, and they kind of get to play free of that stuff for now. So I'm kind of curious to see when the world opens back up if they kind of fall back down to earth a little bit, and I feel like they will.
Yeah, I agree with T on that one, man. I think really what the bubble has shown us is just who's the most focused, who's really the most about ball. Because it really takes away all the distractions. All you got is the games, your teammates, and what you're focusing on. That's an excellent point about the side chicks, man. Because I feel like a lot of those IG models, man, they be messing up some of these odd makers, man. That like you think the game gonna go one way, somebody gonna score a certain amount of points, These IG models mess it all up, bro. But in the case of the Suns, sometimes they give it a little boost, right?
I
Oh
mean,
man.
yeah. I mean,
Well, they're not enough of a boost to get in the playoffs for the Suns, so we ain't even going to discuss them. But back on. I'm gonna throw it right back to y'all, man. And I gotta ask, man. We discussed Luka. We discussed honestly. We just coming off a game that just ended not too long ago. Denver, Utah. I think that's been a great series. Low-key, that could be a 3-2 lead in Denver side if things had gone differently a couple nights ago. Thunder, Rockets. I gotta ask, man, what's your favorite series out of all the series that are going on right now? We got a couple series that are still hanging on. Jump ball, man. Favorite series so far in the playoffs?
Man, I've been loving the Clippers Mavericks personally, man. I'm a big fan of Harden too, so I've been keeping an eye on the Rockets and the Thunder. But I've seen just about every Clippers Mavericks game, and man, it's been entertaining, man. Because honestly, the Clippers, in my opinion, are the better team. But to see what the Mavericks do and come how they come alive, man, it's definitely been entertaining. So I'm gonna go Mavs Clippers for my favorite.
See?
I'm gonna go with the Jazz and the Nuggets. I mean, Donovan Mitchell. I tweeted it earlier if you follow me. Donovan Mitchell and Jamal Murray have really looked like Batman versus Superman out there. They're just as a pure basketball fan, what they're doing in these isolation. No, forget the isolation. What they're doing in the pick and roll is so crazy. Like you could write a textbook about just teaching pick and roll, how to score off the pick and roll. Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert, the pick and roll to the alley-oop. Rudy Gobert is one of the best roll big men in the league. Jokic and Jamal Murray just seem to have some sort of mojo going. They just know where each other is at, like on the court at all times. Jokic is one of the best passing big men. But what they're doing in the fourth quarter, I think Skip tweeted it, like that's what should be considered Dame time. That's what should be considered LeBron time. Like what these guys are doing in the clutch is what you and your friends do on 2K. You take your favorite player and you get a bucket. No matter how you do it, free throw line, 3-point line, whatever the case may be. It's fun to watch. And this is a series that I would watch again, you know what I'm saying, if it was on ESPN Films or something like that, ESPN Classic, one of them channels or something.
Right. It's got that kind of a feel for a series. I've enjoyed it a lot. What I took from the series is definitely Jamal Murray, Mitchell back and forth. So but it's really a shame because that game, the last game, Murray pretty much put them on their back, and Mitchell, and the Jazz came out with the dub. Now they down 3-2. It's going to be a tough road for Denver. Bryce, last but not least, what's your favorite series so far?
Man, I'm gonna go with the series that nobody's giving no love to this whole segment, man. And that's the Rockets versus the Thunder. I don't think anybody expected the Thunder to be in the position they are right now, 2-2 against the Rockets. But shout out to Chris Paul, man. That man is a legend. He doesn't always get mentioned in the same breath as LeBron and Dwayne Wade during that reign, that era. But he was damn sure just as good of a same caliber, same tier. He was a tier one the entire time they were tier one throughout their career. And I think he got slept on. But longevity, it holds a very high spot when it comes to hindsight. So when we look back and we see how long Chris Paul's reign was, everybody will give him that respect as one of the best players of all time. I mean, another thing that's been interesting about this series is you've got three guys who are primarily point guards who are just going off, and Chris Paul, Dennis Schroeder, and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Usually don't see three small guys that have similar games all going off at the same time. But hey, that's just credit to the coaching staff and OKC, man. Sam Presti always manages to put together a competitive roster. And when they've done it once again, don't get me wrong, I think the Rockets probably come out on top in that series. I think James Harden might be a little too much to overcome. But damn, man, the Thunder, man, you just can never count them out. You can't count them out no matter how grim it looks. I think before the season, they were saying they had like a 0.6% chance to make the playoffs. So shout out to whoever made those numbers, man.
Nah, you right, man. OT.
I mean, one thing. I mean, there's no Westbrook.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't really want to give him a ton of credit. I mean, I like what you're saying because all of it's true, to be honest with you. But at the same time, Westbrook makes that an entirely different series. The pressure just isn't on Harden to score, 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 score. So, the return of Westbrook could swing things.
Yeah, I was gonna pick that one as well, but with no Westbrook, it kind of tainted it a little bit for me because I think that would have made a significant difference.
I think that's what you call it, Scruff, a gentleman's sweep. I think that's the gentleman's sweep, man. If Westbrook's out there, I think that's 4-1.
I don't think so. I think even with Westbrook, man, I think this series goes the same way with or without Russell Westbrook. I think either way the Rockets come out on top. But man, the way the Thunder are balling right now, the chemistry they're playing with, the way Chris Paul is leading them, this is no different from what they did the entire regular season. So it's not like this to me is a shock because I'm seeing the same Thunder team that I saw throughout the regular season that people counted against and counted completely out to the point of saying they had less than a 1% chance to make the playoffs. So I feel y'all. Don't get me wrong. Russell coming back, definitely going to be a huge boost to the Rockets. Don't be surprised that man comes back and this series still goes down to the wire.
Yeah, I don't know about all that though, because like the game I seen today, like the Rockets misplayed that hand. They were shooting some of the best shooting I had seen for 2 quarters, and some of the worst shooting I had seen for the other 2. But if they had just kind of just adjusted that game plan, they could have walked away with a dub. It would have been a gentleman's sweep without them. So I think Russell Westbrook is definitely a big factor. But ultimately, like you always say, and it's a perfect segment. But your number one availability is your number one ability, or vice versa. So like it is what it is, bro. Westbrook ain't there. They rolling with the guys they got. Right now it's 2-2. It's entertaining. I'm appreciating it. So it is what it is. Hey, that brings me on to my next segment. It's a painful segment for me. It's one of joy and pain. It's a complicated life that 76ers fans must live. But it is a life that must go on at the end of the day. And the captain of the process ship has officially been thrown overboard. That's Brett Brown. Brett Brown has officially been fired, relieved of duties as a 76ers head coach after 7 seasons. Brett Brown retires. And actually, to be honest, it's about the right time. But ultimately, I got to give my man his flowers because over those 7 seasons, he's coached over 102 players total. He's endured some of the worst rebuilding and worst tanking seasons. It was about 3 solid seasons of tanking. And then, you're trying to put it together with the pieces that he has had. He has not been able to get the Sixers over the hump after a sweep, but a rival Boston Celtics. Brett Brown is officially out as the 76ers head coach. So I reluctantly will ask the rest of y'all what y'all reaction is on the Brett Brown firing and what is I'll say, well, hey, 2-part question. What's the next step for the 76ers? More importantly, who do y'all see as potential coaching candidates for the 76ers to get this thing right? You can see with the Raptors how quick some shit can turn around. So open forum. Go ahead. Hurt me.
Before we get started, man, are you okay? You doing all right? I just want to check in on you before we get started. All right, man. I got some tissues at the crib, in case I can send them over. You know what I'm saying? Okay.
Actually, I was wanting this to happen for a while. It's okay. The writing was on the wall, so no biggie.
Yeah, I agree with that though, man. The writing was definitely on the wall. It was time to move on. Like you said, it's been 7 years, and I mean, eventually, you need some new voices, man. Some new voices in the room. I wouldn't say that his tenure there was the worst, but he definitely didn't accomplish what I would say you as a fan or any other Sixers fans were expecting. But I mean, it could always be worse. So it's not something to be too torn up about. But it is definitely time to move on.
Man, look, man. I don't care who the Sixers hire, who they bring in. Who cares, man? As long as they got that same front office, they always gonna be trash, man. The Sixers remind me of you ever seen somebody with a mismatched body? They got one leg longer than the other, one arm's real swole, one arm's real weak. You know what I'm saying? One big ear, one little ear. The Sixers got a mismatched team. And, they got a whole bunch of puzzle pieces that just do not fit properly. And they want to blame the coach. I get it. But, man, point the finger at the GM. Point the finger at the guy that put this cast of characters together. Whoever couldn't recognize that Jimmy Butler was the glue to that team last year, you got to go. Everybody got to go, man. Get rid of the front office first. and then maybe you'll see you'll see a better direction for the Sixers. I wouldn't put it all at the feet of Brett Brown, not me.
I just want to say that was a beautiful obituary you said for Brett Brown, and
he was a class act.
Really, I feel he had no other choice. They were terrible. I mean, they weren't terrible, but he just couldn't get it done. And we all seen it. The fans, the players, the media. It was the most predictable move of the season so far, honestly. And I'm saying my man DeMelo is saying blame the players. You can only blame the players to a certain extent. It's the coach that's supposed to put those guys in position to win. And I don't think he used those chess pieces to the best of his ability. Now, you could put some of the blame on the GM and things like that, but coach is coach. And it's one thing when you don't have talent. The Sixers have consistently had talent. They haven't been able to make that talent always work, but they had talent. I mean, just last season, didn't they push Toronto to 3 games? I don't think anyone else did that. So Brett probably isn't the worst guy, but he has to be the villain here. And they got to do something, blow up the team. I really don't care. I'm not attached to watching the Sixers. I don't like their brand of basketball. I don't like Ben Simmons as a point guard. But I think the next coaching hire should be, personally, somebody of color. I would like to see more black coaches. Get a black guy in there. And other than that, the only name I can think of is maybe a Van Gundy, who's historically centered his teams around big men. And you have a big guy in Embiid, so that makes sense to me. But I want to see a black guy in there. That's just my take on it.
So you make a couple good points, man. I'm gonna keep going on that. You mentioned 2 things that I think really stuck with me. So 2 things you mentioned. You mentioned the Ben Simmons point guard situation, and you see Brett Brown tried to pivot on the Ben Simmons point guard situation very late in his tenure. Obviously, pretty much when his back was against the wall, he said, "You know what?" And he pretty much lived and died with Ben Simmons at point guard, and then he decided to put him at the power forward. And we didn't have the right personnel at that point to try to put him at power forward. And then that was obviously problematic, and we've seen the result of that. And then ultimately we've seen what it was like without him. Now, you mentioned another thing, hiring a black coach. I think that's probably a good move. I think one thing that Brett Brown didn't have, at least he began to lose as these guys sort of became older and they started to outgrow Brett Brown, was the respect, the credibility. There was literally no accountability on this team whatsoever. So I'd say bringing in a player, somebody that actually has the respect of the players, is going to be huge. So I think having Brett Brown, you got to transition in. I'm going to throw a couple names out there. Mark Jackson, I think, is a guy that should be considered for this job. We're talking about a guy like Ben Simmons. We're talking about point guard, intangible skills. Mark Jackson took that Warriors team and really developed them in the early stages. But let's not sleep on him. Another guy that I want to mention out here, another point guard, Jason Kidd. We talk about Giannis being an MVP caliber player. Jason Kidd is the kind of guy. He was there actually for the early stages in the development of Giannis. Ultimately, Mike Budenholzer is going to get all the credit in the Coach of the Year trophies. Jason Kidd should be an NBA head coach. I want to throw Jason Kidd name out there. And last but not least, man, I got to throw one more name out there. It's going to be a little bit of a left fielder, but we always bring the name up in the area when the coaching vacancy opens up. So I'm gonna throw him out there. Jay Wright, man. Honestly, Wright, you talked about the multiple guard system in OKC, and man, I believe in the 3-guard system. I believe in having more guards on the floor. And you talk about a mismatched team. The 76ers is a team that's literally a team full of power forwards, like Elton Brand. Like, I know you're a power forward, my man, but you don't have to build a whole team full of power forwards, dog. Like, it's good to have guards on your roster. Literally, the 76ers have 2 guards on the roster, Shake Milton, Raul Neto, and Ben Simmons, who's a big guy that has point guard skill set. So, I mean, hey, yo, bring in Jay Wright. Let's get some real guards out here, because we know damn well Ben Simmons wouldn't be playing point guard in Jay Wright's system. He would be somewhere at power forward, probably where he belongs. I don't know, man. What do y'all think? Any candidates, any suggestions for the 76ers before we move on to the next topic for the coaching selection? Tyronn Lue is another name that's out there as well, which would be kind of ironic considering his history of Allen Iverson stepping over him. I don't know if the fans can respect it, but Y'all the GM. Who's y'all coaching hire for the 76ers? Go ahead.
Nick, I'm going to hire you. I'm going to hire you for all your passion that you have for the 76ers. I think you are the man to right the ship. Philly fans, you got to get behind it, man. Scruff Lion for head coach.
Hey, that was the best thing that I heard all day. Honestly, that's my handle right there. 76ers, y'all need to get at me. I got the credentials too. Check my resume. Anybody else?
Hey man, you know what? I think I'm gonna go with Rome, man. I think you got 2 votes, man. Scrub Line, man. He got a game, man. He knows where he wants to play Ben Simmons, man. He's not gonna only have Shake Milton and NATO as your only guards, man. Hey, man, my vote's for Scrub Line, man.
Let's go. T.
I mean, look, you know, you seem to know more about the Sixers than Brett Brown. So how can I not go with you as the coach, GM, owner, everything, man, the whole shebang.
Hey, you need that Belichick power, man. Give my boy Scrub the Belichick hat, man.
Yeah, man. I don't know a guy more invested. If Brett Brown was half as invested as you, man, they'd be in round 2.
Hey man, Bryce will tell you, man. We had some rough years in the process, man. I did my best to watch the Robert Covington, Tony Roten Jr. days, but hey, I've been through the worst. I'll bring us through the best, man. Go ahead, hit my jack. Y'all see me on the handle, man. Josh Harris, y'all got my number. My resume is already on file. Don't play with me. But yo, speaking of resumes, man. Speaking of resumes, you know I got some fantasy football championships under my belt. DeMelo Ragu, wherever you at, you can vouch for that. Bryce, you can vouch for that. I had some rough years in the big league, but I got chips on my belt, my guy. But my man, Mr. Big Leaguer himself, you feel me? Bryce, you got a pretty good track record as well as fantasy football. So we about to dive into what we do and what we love, just like the rest of y'all, man. Fantasy football season. Bryce, fantasy football. I know. We about to dive in. What's going on, bro? How we feeling on this season, bro?
Well, I mean, I'm feeling good about this season like I am every season, man. But let's jump into it. I think first we're gonna start off with our top 5 fantasy football players for 2020. So this is your top 5, man, ranked however you see it. So I'll give mine first. Number 5, I got who, in my opinion, is the best running back in the league, Mr. Derrick Henry. The thing about Derrick Henry, man, is he always turns up way harder during the second half of the season. How do I know this? Because Derrick Henry has won me fantasy football championships. That is a person that has never won a fantasy football championship, at least not last season. Because Derrick Henry took me to championships 2 seasons in a row. Because after week 8, nobody wants to tackle this guy, and you just start eating. You just start eating week after week. So grab D. Henry, especially if you want to go on a late run. Number 4, man, you got to have Pat Mahomes on your list, I feel like. Quarterbacks are reemerging when it comes to fantasy football. There was a time where quarterbacks were starting to get slept on, but now if you don't take a quarterback early, you could risk having a really bum QB. Number 3 was the top performer from last season, Lamar Jackson. Lamar went stupid last year. I see him repeating, but I also see defenses keying in on him a little bit harder this season. So I don't think he'll have quite the same success as last year. Number 2, the second best running back in the league, Christian McCaffrey, man. That boy is a dog.
Here we go.
League. But he's second when it comes to fantasy football because the dual threat, he's going to get you passing and receiving and rush yards. So you really can't beat that. And my number one fantasy football player for this season, Kyler Murray. I'm trying to tell you what Lamar Jackson did last year, Kyler Murray is about to do this year. But I think he'll have even more passing yards, maybe not as many touchdowns, but I think he'll have way more yards. This guy might go for upwards of 5. He might get close to 5K this year. Kyler Murray, I'm very high on. And, y'all know about the Dynasty League, man. We all in the same Dynasty League for the viewers. And I went ahead and took Kyler within the top 10 picks, man, because I believe in this guy. Ron, man, let's hear your top 5, bro.
All right, man. My top 5. I didn't even know we were putting them in order, so mine might be a little shaky. But Number 5, I'm gonna go Pat Mahomes, man. I think like you mentioned it, the quarterback situation. I think it's gonna be some sleepers in this year's draft when it comes to quarterback, but I'll save that for my top 5 sleepers in a second. So I got Pat at number 5. Like you said, there's no way you can't have that man in his fantasy football. You got to have him in there. Number 4, I'm going Dalvin Cook. I know he's in a contract year, or he's trying to get that contract thing settled out right now. I'm putting him over Derrick Henry because not you made a great point with Henry for the second half of the season. Grab Henry if you're trying to go for that championship run late. But if you want somebody that's going to get you dubs the whole way through, get you a Dalvin Cook, someone who can run and catch, similar to CMC. Number 3, you said him, man. He was on your list. Kyler Murray. Originally, I had him as a sleeper, but I don't think dudes are going to be sleeping on him this season. So it's time to wake up if you're still sleeping on Kyler Murray. He's got a squad around him, and there is his second year in that offense. That offense is supposed to be tailor-made to him. Yes, Kyler Murray. You heard it here first on Gas Sports for the Culture. Don't start losing in your fantasy league because you ain't get Kyler Murray. Number 2, Demolo Ragu, you'll like this one. Saquon Barkley. I feel like people for some reason forget how good this man is. He's super consistent. He gets you points consistently. Another guy that can catch the ball out of the backfield. And when it comes to fantasy, you don't necessarily want them straight ahead runners that are just going up the gut, getting you 2-3 yards here and there. You kind of want the home run hitters, and that is what Saquon is. And speaking of home run hitters, my number 1 pick, y'all already know, man. We in the Dynasty League. I had the first overall pick. Who did I pick? Who else could it be? CMC, man. Come on now. Christian McCaffrey. If they start having this man throw the ball, then he's literally doing everything you can do on the field. He lines up at receiver, lines up at running back. Yeah, if you put him at quarterback, he's doing everything you can do on the field. He blocks it. You don't get no points in fantasy for blocking, but if you did, Christian McCaffrey will get you points in that category too. There's nothing that he doesn't do other than throw and kick, and they might have him do that. Who the hell knows? Draft Christian McCaffrey if you got the chance.
Okay. I like it. T, go ahead, chime in. Who's your top 5 fantasy football players this season?
Omaha. I'm gonna throw a hot route real quick. I didn't go with my top 5 overall because I felt like the list would be kind of too similar. I really wouldn't be dropping a lot of knowledge. I mean, if you're playing fantasy, if you don't know who the top 5, top 10 guys are, you probably shouldn't be playing. You know what I mean? Just give your money to the homeless. It'd be better spent. But so I did it a little different. I went, top 5 with a different top guy at each position. And you should know this too, honestly, but I just wanted to mix it up a little bit. So at quarterback, I had, and it was hard between Lamar Jackson and Mahomes, but I went Pat because I feel like Lamar Jackson's style, while he'll get the rushing yards too, there's an injury risk there. And even though Mahomes was injured last year, I think Lamar Jackson just has more injury risk. So I went Mahomes. Running back, CMC. I'm not going with Derrick Henry for the simple fact that I didn't like this first half of the season. CMC, like Rome said, he can do everything. Christian McCaffrey is elite in all facets of the game. I think if he was at a free safety, he'd be in the Pro Bowl. So I went with Ron CMC at running back. At wide receiver, I did not go Michael Thomas. I think he's going to drop off just a little bit because it's hard to hit those numbers again. He put up some great numbers. I don't think he'll get those numbers again. So I went with Hopkins. Everybody's high on Kyler. Why are they high on Kyler? It's because Hopkins is there. All right. I think Hopkins is elite. I think he's the best receiver in the NFL. He didn't get, Watson is great, but he didn't get to play in a pass-happy offense or with a quarterback that's thrown for 5,000 yards like Breeze. So Hopkins, it is for me. 4, my 49er fans are going to hate me, but I went Kelsey here because Trent Taylor's back. If you know the 49ers, you might be familiar with Trent Taylor. He's a legitimate underneath threat, just like Kittle. He's Debo's baby Kittle, and he's baby Debo. He's the white version. He's not super fast, not super strong, but he can move the chains. He's almost, matter of fact, he's more of a Wes Welker than anything. And I think Brady had Welker, Garoppolo has Trent Taylor, and you'll see that next season. So Kelsey will be just above my guy. So 49ers defense, I got him at number 1, man. I think that offense is going to be better. I think they've improved. Addition by subtraction. I think there's no more Breida, but we have Mostert, who's going to get the bulk of the carries. I think we have no Emmanuel Sanders, but we have Ayuk. Trent Taylor is healthy, like I said before. And I think the 49ers offense takes a step forward. That was Jimmy G's first full season. I think that makes the defense play that much better. Bosa's second year. D Ford's healthy. Quan Alexander is healthy. We didn't have those guys most of last season. They didn't play the majority of the snaps. So that's my top five at each. Well, top one at each position, giving you a top five.
Okay, all right, it's a little different. So I went the opposite way that you went, T. So I gave you my straight top five, and I'm gonna just tell you how I feel. It's all about the running backs. So like it's the opposite. It's literally 5 running backs. That's how I feel. If you drop it in the top five,
that's why I changed it.
If you drop it in the top, if you draft it in the top 5 and you're not drafting a running back, you're stupid. Straight up. So with that being said,
how many times you won, man? How many championships you got? There's no way. No, that's not a fact.
I agree with that. I agree with.
I don't know what number that was, but that's not a fact.
It's 2 times 2.
Oh man, took a gang sign in response to that. But
hey, rounding up my top 5. Go ahead, number 5. I got Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb, bruiser, big time running back on the upward trajectory. Nick Chubb. His name's Nick, so I gotta rock with him. Number 4, Alvin Kamara, slept on, dual threat back. It's like you said, Bryce. You need to be able to catch the ball. You need to be able to run the ball. In fantasy football, most leagues are PPRs. Get you an Alvin Kamara, that's 5 points guaranteed because he's going to get at least 5 receptions. Drew Brees can't throw it more than 30 yards anyway. So go ahead and get you an Alvin Kamara. That's a smart pickup. I know people saying that he had a rough year last year. Hey, he had a rough year and he was still one of the top backs in the league. So go ahead and stick that in your pipe and smoke it. For your New York Giants fans out there, I got love for Saquon Barkley because he is literally the best running back in the league when you talk about talent and skill set. And you talk about that New York Giants team doesn't have much going for them. You got to talk about Saquon Barkley because Saquon Barkley literally gets the PPR stats. He gets literally dumps out the backfield that go for literally 0 yards altogether, but it still counts for a point. God bless you, Saquon. God bless PPR. But my man gets the carries, and he's usually good for a big, long carry. If you're in a league with a big bonus for long carries, Saquon is the kind of guy that you want. Definitely. Bryce knows about those rules. We know all about that in your league. But next best, number 2 on the league, Zeke. You know I don't love the Cowboys, but I got to give props to Zeke. Zeke gets it on both sides. He's a running back, receiver. He's a 3-down back. He does it all. You probably argue statistically he's the best running back in the league for the last 4 years straight. Last but not least is the best running back in football, man. I don't know who is leading y'all. I apologize if it was us, but it wasn't me. It's Christian McCaffrey, folks. He's the best running back in football, bro, because he's literally everything you could ever want in a running back. Plus, he's everything you could ever want in a receiver. Plus, he only occupies one position on the offense. Plus, he's even a good pass blocker. There's no stats for that, but I'm just saying it means something to me. Christian McCaffrey is the best running back in football. He's my number 1 fantasy football player. If you have number 1 draft, number 1 pick, and you don't pick Christian McCaffrey, I'd like to know why. Hit me on my comments. Please tell me something. Enlighten me. That's my top 5, by the way. Christian McCaffrey, number 1.
That's the reason I kind of went away with the format is because I really had 5 running backs myself. And I feel like in fantasy football, you don't want to be the guy having to play the running back that's splitting carries or he's in a running back by committee. You know, you want to have the confidence of saying my guy's going to get 20 to 30 touches a game, and I know what I'm getting from him. So 5 running backs. I love your list. I would have had the exact same list, a little different order. I probably would have threw Clyde Edwards-Helaire in there instead of Chubb because that offense is going to be way more prolific. He'll have more opportunity. But yeah, I would have went top 5 running backs.
Hey man, I'm happy I added y'all fellas to my league, man. I'm so happy about that, man. I'm so happy about that. Hey, so let's keep it pushing. Top 5 sleepers for the 2020 fantasy football season. I'll kick it off. Number 5, man. I think my boy Rome gonna feel me with this one. You need you a quarterback, and you in the late rounds, and you doing some late round shopping. There's a guy in Washington that might be turning some heads this year. That's one Dwayne Haskins. reports out of camp that Dwayne Haskins is putting things together, man. And if you look at the advanced metrics of last season, you would know that Dwayne Haskins had the least turnover-worthy plays with the most big-time throws out of all the rookie quarterbacks. I can see it happening. I can see him being a sleeper and really catching the league by storm.
You said sleeper or sleep while he's on?
All right, look, I don't want to hear no Washington slander, bro. You done put the 49ers in your little top 5. We nominated Scruff for the 76ers. Dwayne is a sleeper, bro. Dwayne is a sleeper. And he's going to wake y'all up on week 1, bro.
Appreciate
that.
Go
ahead, man. Go ahead.
All right, number 4, man. Number 4. Now, this guy's a guy you could probably get around the 6th, 7th round, but he's going to give you 2nd or 3rd round production. That's one Curtis Samuel. The reason I'm so high on Curtis Samuel this season is because Teddy Bridgewater is one of the best underneath passers in the league, man. One of the best short passers in the league is Teddy Bridge. Curtis Samuel is a guy that can take something short and take it to the house and really make something out of these short passes, these underneath routes. So Curtis Samuel is a guy you should be keeping your eye on that 6th, 7th round range. If he's still there, go ahead and nab him because he can give you some big time production this season. Number 3 is a guy I was very high on when he came out in the 2019 draft, and that's Paris Campbell for the Indianapolis Colts. He didn't make a ton of noise last year. Gives him a perfect opportunity to catch the league by storm. This is another guy that can take a short pass, take it to the house. He has elite speed. He can get the end arounds, so he even get you a few carries a game most of the times. I'm high on Paris Campbell. I was high on him coming out. In fact, I was higher on him than I was on Terry McLaurin. So that should give you a little taste of what Paris Campbell could be. Number 2, I'm going back to my homerism a little bit, but this guy, I think this guy is going to end up being great in the league, and that's Steven Sims Jr. If you're not aware of the wide receiver Steven Sims Jr. in Washington, you need to go ahead and get hip. This dude is a dog. It's all going to depend on opportunity for him, but it seems like he's going to get this opportunity. And this is a guy that you could probably get in the 11th, 12th round of your draft. So that's the definition of a sleeper. So if you need a guy, Steven Sims Jr. is your guy. Number 1, man, I hate telling y'all this. I'm happy we already had our draft. I'm happy it's a dynasty league. Because number 1, I got Damian Harris out of New England Patriots. In fact, I drafted him in our league since y'all was all asleep. Since we are doing the sleepers, y'all was asleep on Damian Harris. But hey man, Damian Harris was the lead back over Josh Jacobs at Alabama, and I know y'all love Josh Jacobs. You 4 running back around guys. You 5 running backs in my top 5 type niggas.
I traded up for Josh Jacobs. Shout out to Rome.
Yeah. Shout out to Josh Jacobs. He is a dog, but Damian Harris has the chance to be better. And I know that might sound crazy, but it wasn't crazy to Nick Saban, and I trust Nick Saban's judgment. So my number 1 sleeper is Damian Harris. So Rome, kicking it back to you, man. Let's hear that. Let's hear the top 5 sleepers, bro.
All right, here we go, man. Top 5 sleepers. This is definitely going to be good. My number 5 sleeper is a tight end for the Detroit Lions, TJ Hawkinson. I think nobody is thinking about him at all. If you are thinking about him, kudos to you. You are awake. You are awake in class. TJ Hawkinson, I think he's going to put up some numbers, man. Matt Stafford hasn't really had a tight end like that. And hey, stay asleep then, man. You're going to wake up when fantasy start. But yeah, back to my list real quick. I went Hawkinson from the Lions. And my number 4 is also on the Lions. It's his QB, Matthew Stafford. I think they're going to basically be connected. Stafford always puts up numbers. The thing with Matthew Stafford, he doesn't win games. So you can hate on Matthew Stafford in reality for not winning enough, but he's going to lead you to a fantasy championship because he is a stat stuffer. And he's never had a tight end like Hawkinson, like I just said. So I think those 2 are major sleepers. They're going to put up numbers together. Number 3, another shout out to my man, Demolo Ragu. I might catch some shade for this one, but Bryce, you put Haskins in there. I'm putting Danny Dimes in there. I know a lot of people don't like the weapons around him in New York. I think they're all solid. I think Saquon Barkley is another huge piece. Daniel Jones got some nice little pieces around him, man. I think he's going to be real solid and put some good numbers up. And he's the guy that nobody is thinking about. Nobody is thinking about. And number 2, another guy that nobody is thinking about from the same draft class, another quarterback. That's my man, Drew Lock. Drew Lock in Denver. I love what they did surrounding him with them weapons. If he fails, it's going to be on him. It's definitely going to be on him. I'm actually going to drop an article here soon about the AFC West. I did a little deep dive on Julock, which is why he snuck into my top 5 here. I think he's going to have a big season, and nobody's ready for it. My number 1 fantasy sleeper. We talked to running backs this whole time. This guy's going to be a running back. Nobody mentioned him. He's on a team that is often forgot about out in LA, and that is the Chargers. Austin Eckler. He probably isn't even really a sleeper if you're smart out here and you know what you're doing. Running backs are critical to the game of fantasy football. Austin Eckler is going to get a ton of touches. They got Tyrod and Justin Herbert as their quarterbacks. They're not going to go out there and throw 30 passes a game. It's going to be the Austin Eckler show. Melvin Gordon's gone. He's going to get the bulk of the touches. So there it is, man. Austin Eckler. He's a true sleeper.
Okay. All right. T, I'm gonna go ahead and give you. You gonna give yours, and I'll give mine. We'll round it up.
All right. I just want to start off by saying I like Rome's list. Solid list. Bryce's list, I'm just not sure what that's about. I mean,
we'll wait for hindsight. Wait for the hindsight.
Those are picks if you're in a 20-team league or something. You know what I'm saying? If your team has, your league has more than 14 teams and you're desperate, you know what I mean, and you don't know like who to pick, those are some good names that might get you like 7 points a week. You know what I mean? But let me just throw my list out there. Again, I went, through the positions. So let me just start off with quarterback. And no surprise, me and Rome both have Drew Lock. I really love what this kid has around him. I mean, Melvin Gordon, Philip Lindsay. I mean, tell me a name you don't like. Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy, KJ Hamler. You like KJ Hamler, Bryce?
I like him.
KJ Hamler's a ball.
All right. So it's Drew Lock for me at
my favorite guys on the drive.
Noah Fant too, but it's Drew Lock for me at
Noah Fant's a beast too.
He's a sleeper too, but he didn't make my list. But Noah Fant is that offense should be elite. You know what I mean? They should put up some points and move some chains. There should be some shootouts. You should see them on red zone a lot. All right, so number 2, I'm starting to reconsider this one. I have Bryce Love, but I don't know if I can trust guys named Bryce at this point. Like, I'm not sure. It seems like I made a mistake here.
I'm missing the biggest sleeper.
Y'all gonna make me get the tallies out of how many times I've been right and how many times you've been wrong, man.
Hey, we need to start marking this stuff down because that sleeper list sounds crazy. All right. I love Bryce Love. I love what he did in college. Got bit by the injury bug. If you follow me on Twitter, I've been saying since draft day he's the best running back on the roster. Now that Geis is out the way, Bryce Love is there. I mean, he's the guy. He can run. He can catch. Word out of camp is Ron Rivera loves him. What more do you want than the coach? Than the coach loves you. So Bryce Love, running back is so important. We all agree. Then Bryce Love is a sleeper. All right, my receiver. And this one shouldn't be a sleeper if you think about it, but it is. Juju Smith-Schuster. Like, I'm seeing guys like Allen Robinson ahead of him. Like, Big Ben is back. Now, I don't know how much you think Big Ben has in the tank, but it's got to be more than a guy named Duck Devlin, or whatever his name was. All right. The guy will have a Hall of Fame quarterback, Super Bowl winning quarterback. I think Juju finishes inside the top 10. Honestly, I think he finishes inside the top 7. But a lot of places have him outside the top 15. So to me, that's a sleeper. That's a lot of value for a receiver. All right. So at tight end, this pick, just call me a genius when it turns up. But Chris Herndon, people don't even know that name, but he's a tight end for the Jets. He played one game last season, had one catch, but the season before last, as a rookie, he had 500 yards. I think he had like 9 catches over 20 yards. I mean, the guy can play football. He's a solid all-around tight end. Young quarterback, Sam Darnold. Oh, see, Juju, we got a fan. Smart guy. All right, this is my segment, buddy. All right, so Chris Herndon. But I think he's the guy with the Jets. If you struggle to find a tight end, if you can't get Hawkinson, you can't get Fant, you can't get some of the bigger names, Roll a dice on Chris Herndon. He'll be there super late. Roll the dice on that guy. So I picked the defense for my number 5. And this isn't a sexy pick, but to me it makes a ton of sense. It's the Buccaneers, right? This team, the defense didn't look all that great last year, but they were strong against the run, and they had a lot of passing yards put up on them, and they had to play with Jameis Winston, 30 for 30. Tom Brady's going to manage the game so much better. So I think the Buccaneers are a sleeper pick. If you can't get those big name defenses that 49ers, the Steelers, there's a few more out there, I think you can wait late, draft a guy you want to take a risk on, and still grab the Buccaneers, who I think will end up at least a top 10 defense, if not a top 5. I think Tom Brady, what do they say, high tide makes all the boats rise or something. I might have just made that up. It sounded good. But, yeah, that's my top 5.
Never heard of it, but I rock with it. You feel me? I like that, though. I like that team. Spreading it out. You feel me? You made me want to throw out a couple of sleepers I got from different positions. You named them, though. Noah Fant was definitely in one of them. But I'm going to stick to my top 5 that I prepared. I actually had 7 prepared because I knew one of y'all was going to name somebody from my list by the time it got around to my turn. So I'm going to leave people off my list. Shout out Bryce, Damian Harris, definitely a sleeper. But go ahead. I'm going to start it off. I'm going to give you a little diversity in my list. I'm going to start with a quarterback. And maybe this won't be a sleeper to y'all, but in drafts so far, more or less, maybe we're just anxious to draft, but this guy wasn't getting drafted like that. Cam Newton, bro. Like, you talking about sleepers, like, you got to pick up Cam Newton because, like, Cam Newton, I don't know. I will tell y'all to the world, I made a sleeper bet on Cam Newton to win the MVP this year. Cam Newton.
Who drafted Cam Newton in our league?
Some guy. He don't really know much about fantasy football, though.
Okay.
Nah, T, you drafted him. Good looks, man. I didn't know he was going to get picked up. I thought he got blackballed. I thought he got Kaepernicked. I wasn't going to take my chances on the system doing right by Cam Newton. But thank God somebody did. But Cam Newton is definitely a sleeper now that he's on an NFL team. Go ahead and get Cam Newton because I think he's going to have an MVP caliber season. If you don't win it, he's going to have an MVP caliber season. I got number 2. I got to throw out Deontay Johnson. I'm surprised nobody threw him out there. He's so much of a sleeper that, like, literally he's not even a sleeper no more because everybody knows he's going to be good. Because this guy was, like, pretty much a slow start to last season. He had a great end of the season. He pretty much picked up when they needed to, and that was with Duck Dodgers and whoever the heck was at quarterback for the Steelers. Deontay Johnson, maybe the next Antonio Brown. Pretty bold prediction, but we'll see. Another one I got here. Can't believe y'all didn't name him. T, you were so close by picking Bryce Love. You got the right team, but you got the wrong player, my brother. I know Bryce didn't name him because he probably doesn't even want to share this with the rest of the world. But the real sleeper on the Redskins is Antonio Gibson, my friend. That's the real sleeper on the Redskins. If y'all sleep, I'm waking y'all up. It's not too late. It's 11:30. It's still plenty of time for y'all to wake up and draft him before the NFL draft starts. Go ahead and get you Antonio Gibson because if you know the Redskins offense, you know that they got the featured third down back role. Chris Thompson was in that role. He was a very solid fantasy contributor for many teams, many years, and now he's no longer on the team. Guess what? That role is going to get filled. Chris Thompson, that multi-purpose back, split out, maybe split him out wide. Antonio Gibson, the Redskins are weak at wide receiver. They were pretty much in an open position at running back. Now you got Adrian Peterson, whoever else can give you like decent, solid production is going to get a play. Give me Antonio Gibson. I see him potentially maybe as a combo wide receiver slot running back option. Definitely somebody worth taking a late flyer on. Go ahead, get you Antonio Gibson, bro. One more. Actually, I got 2 more right here. Another Cam Akers. The Rams, bro. Y'all know my mentality. If you don't know, I'm telling you right now, fresh legs over old legs. Not saying Henderson is an old leg back, but I'm telling you that Cam Akers is a fresh leg back coming in from Florida State. He had a bounce back junior season. He is a upward trajectory for them right now. I like him a lot. I think he might be their leading rusher in a team where they need some fresh legs Todd Gurley, y'all know it. That's literally the anti-fresh legs, Todd Gurley. My man worn out. Give him some fresh legs. I'm pretty sure they'll get some moves going. And then last but not least, I'm going to throw out a wide receiver sleeper. And y'all going to sleep. Y'all probably still going to sleep after I tell y'all, but I'm going to tell you anyway. NFL bloodline, my friend, and a quarterback that's been hungry for a good receiver. Jalen Reagor, sleeper. Don't miss out on Jalen Reagor. That's a top 5 sleeper in my opinion because my boy is about to be potentially the number 1 receiver for the Eagles this season with a whole bunch of old guys that typically don't necessarily consistently play all the games. Deshaun Jackson hasn't played in 16 games in his entire career. Alshon Jeffrey doesn't look like he's committed. I don't know what's going on, but I know Jalen Reagor are going to come out with the speed. He's going to bring that 4.29 speed to the Eagles. That's my top 5 sleepers for the NFL season.
Hey, real quick, man, to be fair, I just want to point something out. My biggest takeaway from this fantasy segment, Scruff threw in an Eagle. You know, T, you threw in the 49ers defense. Bryce, I love the fact that you threw in Dwayne Haskins and Steve Sim Jr., but I'm the only one who did not throw in a player from his favorite squad. I picked 0 Washington football team players, but all 3 of you also picked a Washington football team player. So we appreciate the love. I'll take that, you know. Y'all aren't too sleep. You realize Antonio Gibson's going to ball, you know. T, you know, Bryce Love is going to be like that. You know, they must be listening to Hell to the Culture, Bryce. Maybe we getting through to them.
I got a lot of open spots. That's all I'm saying.
Hey man, they hating on my list, man. I just caution y'all, man. You know, whenever my opinions or my hot takes are disagreed with, they end up being the most right. So let's revisit this list. I say we revisit this list mid-season, see how everybody's list is stacking up.
I think it's fair.
That sounds like a fantasy contest in itself, man. Take all these sleeper lists, add up all the points at the end of the season. Let's put some bread on it.
I'm down, man. You know, I'm hot in my COVID bets so far, man. My quarantine bets, I'm hot right now, T. I'm hot.
You right. We did last at Toronto, and then Toronto came out strong, but then they said they might not want to play basketball anymore. So
if they did that, they would be the realest team of all time, man. I hope, if any team would do something that drastic, that serious, man, they would forever. They the real champion. They the real MVP.
I mean, no, that's a fact. But I'm not supposed to introduce this one, but I'm gonna jump in, and I think that leads us to this last segment where something new for you guys. Where each one of the panelists get to pretty much say what's on their mind. You know, we get to tell you guys what we want to talk about. It's an open discussion, open forum, open mic. It's something new. We hope you like it. I'm excited for it. So does anybody want to kind of jump out there first and say what's going on, what's on their mind?
Yeah, I'm gonna piggyback off you, T. I'm gonna get my point off before it gets stolen. But when we first opened this open mic discussion, I was having a hard time deciding what I want to talk about. There's a lot of stuff going on right now, so I wanted to talk about a lot of things, but I wouldn't talk about the Raptors. So like, I mean, I don't know what's actually gonna happen, but like basically, I'm just gonna get you down to the main point of the situation. You know, they talking about potentially sitting out the whole game. You know, on account of Jacob Blake death. I don't know if y'all heard about it. That's really the real story. It's not really about the Raptors. It's really about Jacob Blake. You know, whole situation. My man got gunned down from the back. It's pretty fucked up situation. I couldn't think of any other way to say it than that. But like, pretty fucked up situation. Literally, George Hill from the Bucks was talking about something. It is literally why NBA players is out here protesting. They wasn't even trying to say come out. He said like, look, I don't even know why the hell we came out here, man. Because like, literally we came out here. And dudes is still getting gunned down. Like, it's crazy. And the worst part about it was, like, not only did the dude get gunned down, he getting gunned down in front of his family. Like, you know what I'm saying? His children were in the car watching him getting gunned down. Like, it's really just, like, it's crazy, man. It's the type of stuff, man. It's like, it's honestly, like, I didn't want to talk about it in the beginning of the show because I would have started getting upset about it. Because it's like, it's type of thing you can't just, like, sit in a situation and just, like I try to be, I have a good time with this show and we have a good time doing what we do, but like knowing that's going on and like that's somebody's life, update on the situation medically, like dude is basically looking at being paralyzed, man. Like he ain't do nothing but be black, like be in the wrong place at the wrong time yet again. You know what I'm saying? And the worst part about it is folks out here trying to discredit my man you know what I'm saying, trying to say like X, Y, and Z about him or whatever his track record may be or whatever. And that's like the salt in the wound, the alcohol on top of an open cut. It's just like, come on, man. Like, you're going to hit me with that. So I respect what the Raptors was talking about, potentially sitting out the game. I don't know if they will or they won't. If they do, then, you know, I'll be on the Bryce bandwagon. I hope they win the whole chip, bro. Because, like, honestly, that's really a statement that could be really something I could stand behind more than anything. Like, we come here every day and we talk about sports. But, you know, with that going on right now, even to send, like, you know, Bryce said it like weeks ago. He was like, maybe we're part of the problem. We over here talking about sports and stuff. Like, we need to be talking about these social justice issues. So if the team was to sit out here and say, look, folks talking about sports, we got to take control of the narrative and not play, you know, I think that would be one of the most powerful things that could be even greater than anything that could happen from this season if we could get that done. So I just want to say, you know, with everything going on, man, let's not lose sight of the focus of what we got going on and what's really, really be happening. And if the team was to take forward and take that kind of step, I would applaud them. So if any Toronto Raptors are listening tonight, the Celtics clearly said where they stand. They're not really trying to get down with that. But if the Raptors want to get down and take an L, I'm with you. And y'all got my support.
Hey, I'm gonna go ahead and jump in next because when I was asking about the open mic segment earlier, this is actually exactly what I came up with for mine. You know, Nick, you kind of hit it on the head. We're sports for the culture. So while we all also talk about sports, we talk about the culture. So we don't ever shy away from any type of issues, whether it be race, police brutality. We've always talked about that here on this show, and we're always going to talk about that here on the show. That's why we're sports for the culture. That's the name of the show. I did not actually hear about the Toronto part of it. The part that I had seen was that the Lions canceled their practice today, which, similar to Toronto, I thought was an excellent gesture. Obviously, it doesn't hold the same weight as canceling the game, but they don't have games yet. But I believe the players that spoke to the media were Trey Flowers, Taylor Decay, and a man named Harmon. But just to get to the Jacob Blake subject, because it does hit home, especially for me, for all of us, I'm sure. But the fact that he was gunned down in front of his family, it really hit me, man. Like, I don't want to get too emotional on the show or nothing like that, but it really hit me different because, you know, y'all know I have two young boys myself, and I often think about this, man. If I ever get stopped or if I'm ever in a confrontation with an officer, are they gonna end my life in front of my children, man? Like, that is something that I genuinely think about quite often, to be completely honest. And it's not something that we as Black men and Black women should have to fear when we're going on an outing with our family. From what I've read, this man was breaking up a fight between two women. The police responded to a domestic violence case, and somehow it ended with him getting shot in the back while entering his car. There is no justification. There is no what his track record was. You want to know what his track record was? I wore this hat for a reason today. This was this man's track record. Okay, he was a dad. He was in there in the car with his kids. He was trying to prevent another fight, and he was gunned down. There's no justification for him being shot. There's none. So if you are one of those people that want to say all lives matter, you need to look yourself hard in the mirror right now and ask yourself why you're asking what this man's track record is when he just got murdered. That does not matter. I don't give a damn what he did 2 years ago, what he did last year, what he did yesterday. He did not deserve to get killed in front of his children. That is something that they're gonna have to live with. He didn't get my apologies. He didn't pass away. He's paralyzed. I'm getting a little carried away with it because it's touching. But yeah, his kids didn't need to see that. His kids didn't need to see that. It was completely unnecessary. And if you feel any type of way other than sympathy and sorrow for this man, then you are the problem. You are the issue, and you are the ones that need to get dealt with. So that's really all I got to say about this. I'm glad we did this open mic segment tonight. It's a good time to do it. I'm gonna let you guys give your thoughts on this.
I mean, I'm glad you guys brought it up. I kind of figured one of us would bring it up, and if no one did, I would for sure. So I'm glad we're on the topic. But I just want to say, it's so repetitive at this point, man, and it sucks. And just like you, Rome, I have two young sons, 6 and 10, and my heart just goes out to all the black boys in the world. Like, it's hard for black boys. It's even harder for black girls. But my heart just goes out to all the children of color that, now we're in the internet age where you have to watch these people just try to take the life, or actually do take the life out of people that that you will grow up to look like. You may grow up to be like. And while we have images of successful black people, for every Obama, you have 7 or 8 guys, 9 or 10 guys, 15 or 20 guys that you can Google that were gunned down unarmed. And I don't know when it's going to stop. I don't know what it will take for it to stop, but just the constant pounding of the images. I'm at the point where I don't even want to see the videos anymore. It's hard enough just to read the stuff. They haven't arrested the people that murdered Breonna Taylor. I mean, this is literally nothing new, and I hope that the NBA, the NFL. I watched Roger Goodell. I'm gonna jump to the NFL real quick. I watched Roger Goodell sit down with Emmanuel Acho. I don't even know how to pronounce his name. I think that's his name, and answer some really softball questions. And one thing he said that bothered me was, I wish I listened to Kaepernick earlier. I hate that a guy had to have his life squeezed out on camera. I thought it was so fake, so phony. I hate that somebody had to die. A pandemic had to stop the entire country for literally white people to watch black people die, to say, yeah, maybe you got a point. Yeah, I know you've been singing about it, rapping about it, making movies about it, writing poems about it, writing books about it, but maybe you got a point now. So it just sucks that, as a person of color, this is kind of your existence, and you just have to maneuver through it and around it. And like I said, man, my heart just goes out to the kids at this point, because the imagery, what it does to your self-esteem and your self-worth can't be, a positive thing. So we just got to keep lifting the kids and, raising them in prayer, and just keep boosting them up, because they're the ones taking the brunt of this. I mean, we're grown. We've seen it for a long time, but they're watching it in real time over and over again.
Yeah, no, that's real, man. And I think you all were hinting at a sense of conditioning, a sort of conditioning that goes on during these moments. I think that these moments, they get politicized for what seems at some moments sometimes the right reason, but in hindsight could have detrimental effects on the larger society. And that's another issue, definitely for another time. But as far as this specific instance goes, another unnecessary shooting. Another moment where, people in authority are looking for a reason to shoot instead of looking for a reason to de-escalate. I mean, it really just comes back to the entire origin of policing, of police.
Exactly.
It doesn't take much digging to find out those origins. So, I mean, if you can't do the research, I'm not here to do it for you. And I'm also not here to make anybody's opinion. But it doesn't take much to see what's going on here. And I think the number one thing, T, that you hinted on is where, it's conditioning. And it's toughest for the younger generation. So we have to lift them up. We have to continue to, just be there for each other and support, because, as Black people in this country, we've been dealt a bad hand would be an understatement. We all know the game. We all know it's the game, and we all know where we're slotted into that game. And now we just have to come up with rules within the game that can help us succeed. 2020 has been, I think, a crazy year by everybody's standards. If we're blessed enough to get 10 more years after that, I think we'll all look back at 2020 and remember it just as something crazy. Unless this is just a standard now. Unless going forward everything is just crazy from here. Maybe it is. We'll see. But I think one of the craziest things that popped off at the beginning of 2020 was the death of one of my legends, one of my idols, and that was Kobe Bean Bryant. August 23rd was Kobe's birthday. How ironic that 8/24 is Kobe Day, the day after his birthday. On 8/23, man, I added a new photo to my wall of fame, man. The wall of fame was just moments, people, times that I hold dear, man. I had to put Kobe up there, man. So like I said, man, his birthday 8/23, Mama Day 8/24, and we happen to be recording the show on 8/25. So I had to shout out the legend that is Kobe Bean Bryant, man. May he rest in peace.
Yes, sir. Salute the
Yes,
GOAT.
rest in peace to Kobe, man, the real GOAT.
So I'm gonna just jump in with mine. Kind of lift the spirits a little bit, man. Just a little bit. And this is something that's kind of been on my mind. I think it'll give the viewers a little background on all of us. So what I really wanted to talk about, I just like all of you guys to kind of share what was your introduction to gas? Like, how did you get to gas? Because we're slowly progressing, and we got a good amount of viewers, and we got a good organic following, and we're growing week by week. So, just twofold question: how did you get introduced to gas? Like, what led you to this point? And basically, what was the moment that you knew, all right, like we got something here? Because I'm gonna tell you, but I kind of want to hear you guys first.
All right, I'll start this one off. I actually got a funny story about it, man. So the way it worked was Bryce, he reached out to me on Twitter, and I'm gonna keep it 100, man. Like I was doing my own little blogs, just throwing out shit about at the time the Redskins. Not really thinking anybody was gonna read it. I just had, I'm a football fanatic, so I just had thoughts, just getting them out. And then Bryce reached out to me, man, and I'll be honest, bro, I ignored the hell out of it. I thought it was some fake shit. I was like, bro, who is this guy like talking about gas? Like you want me to join the squad? No, I'm like, nah. Thankfully, man, a couple weeks later, a month or so later, he reached out again, and I'm gonna give another shout out.
Hey, look, that was the last time, man. It was either win or never.
Hey, so I gotta give a shout out to my man Scribble, my man Chris Holt, bro. He just recently joined the squad, and if it wasn't for him, when Bryce doubled back, I might not have said yes, bro. Like I let him know, what it was about, and he was like, hell yeah, man, take the chance. Like what's the worst that could happen? We started the Hell to the Culture podcast, and in all honesty, I knew that gas was serious and that we had something when me and Bryce were just doing the Hell to the Culture. And we started getting mad, like a decent amount of viewers off, the Redskins not even being that great. And I was like, man, if we can get people to listen to this, and then we really like the whole vision that we have, and we really keep pushing forward, I was like, we could definitely do something. And my time I was writing mostly about the Skins. And another moment that I had where I was like, yo, we really are legit is I did a piece on Josh Norman. And it wasn't like necessarily a football piece. It was more about a culture piece. I mean, we all know we laugh and joke with Josh Norman. He gets burnt, all that kind of stuff. But I did a piece on, him giving back to the community. He was very big on giving back to the community here in DC in the DMV area, handing out food to the homeless and blankets to the homeless, stuff like that. Always giving back, giving out tickets to the fans, stuff like that. And he retweeted us. He gave it a thumbs up. So that's when I really felt like, no matter how small or big gas gets, we have a platform and we have a chance to give these culture stories, kind of like the segment we just did. We have a chance to speak our side of the story, the sides of the stories that don't always get told in the mainstream media. And yeah, man, I'm definitely proud to be down with the squad.
Okay. I heard bits and pieces of that story, but it was kind of cool to hear from your point of view, from your side. You know what I'm saying? Scruff, I want to hear how, how you came aboard and, your path to this thing.
Man, it's a beautiful story, I guess you could say. But man, me and this guy Bryce, man, we've been known for a long time that we was going to link together to create some greatness. We just never knew what it was, man. And we done had plenty of different hustles and ideas and so many different like creations that we done had. You know what I'm saying? But like, well, ultimately one day we was having a conversation and it started like, sometimes you don't even realize the greatness that you say. And then so somebody says, yo, that was actually a great idea. So we were sitting there. I'm never gonna forget this. I was living in my mother's house at the time, bro. God bless, and I'm in my own home. Like I paid for my own dollars. Like God has brought so many things from me since then. But I was living in my mother's home right at the time. I was living in her basement, bro. Like literally every story you hear about some great company starting in somebody's basement. I'm in the backyard. I'm on the phone with Bryce, and we just brainstorming ideas and stuff. And I said, "Yo, man, what we came up with like a like a good ass sports blog, yo, like just some real dope shit, like you know what I'm saying?" I was like, "What the fuck we gonna name it though?" Bryce was like, "Yo, you just said it, yo, good ass sports." I'm like, "Good ass sports." I was like, "Damn." Yeah, that joint actually sounds pretty good. I was like, all right, good ass sports. I was like, all right, yeah, I like that. So we started on our blogging, you know what I'm saying? And then we started doing different podcasts, and then we started trying different things, and then we just started keep growing that joint. And then we started meeting some certain folks, and Rome was one of them folks. Shout out to Rome. You know what I'm saying? We was like, okay, we got people that's rocking with what we're doing, and we just kept trying to grow it organically. And everybody that seen the vision and kind of seen the pieces of what we had going on, I'm just grateful. But ultimately, man, now we got something that's really major. We got an app in the app store. We got people involved on so many different levels and layers, and I'm just truly grateful, and it's amazing. And ultimately, to answer your question, T, is like, when did I know that it was going to be like, amazing? And to be honest, like every day I'm amazed. Like honestly, like to be honest, like I'm amazed every single day. Like when we first started doing this show, I started to see the little pieces of it, right? But along the way, I saw so many different like reminders, from the man upstairs, like Josh Norman, other NFL players. It was multiple NFL players that showed love, and really just like the love from the people, from the fans. It was overwhelming. So it was just confirmation of what we was doing. And then like, my boy Bryce, man, he had faith in it from the very beginning. And it's to his vision and execution that we took an idea that was discussed in the backyard and turned it into something that's in everybody's back pocket now with gas and being accessible from the app store and every stream that's available watching us right now, man. So I'm just grateful.
Okay. I'm struggling to decide if I should go first, or Bryce should go first, just in a sense of what makes sense. But I'm curious. So Bryce, go ahead. What I'm saying, let me know, what was your path to this thing, man?
Yeah, well, man,
What was your moment?
I think y'all know me well enough, man, to know that I don't dive too deep in the past, man. I let the mystique of the creation and the origins, I let it remain there. But I will say that, I'm excited for the future, where we're headed, what we've built as a collective. It's never been one person, one idea, it's never been anything like that. It's a collective, and as the collective mind and the collective vision grows, you'll see gas as an entity just get larger and larger. So I'm just appreciative to anybody that's ever clicked a good ass sports link, that's ever, seen a good ass sports post, that's ever downloaded this. Shout out to anybody that's downloaded the Gas Network app. And I just guarantee you that there's more big things coming to you guys. We always in the work on the back end, on the front end, whether you see it or not. You know what I mean? And all I can say is sports for the culture. That's it.
Okay. Let me just run through mine real quick. So basically, I know Bryce from flag football. He was our quarterback, and looks like he's going to be our quarterback again. He kind of
Bryce play quarterback.
Shuffled around. Bryce has
a whole ass Jason Campbell.
He is the Wayne Haskins of our squad. The guy but he came to me after practice one day and just kind of said he wanted to holler at me and let me know pretty much he had a plan, he had a vision. And back then there was a website. He threw some names out there, some other pieces and things like that, and it kind of just all made sense. I kind of knew Bryce as somebody that he would joke around, but he was serious about what he was serious about. Some of the other guys, I probably would have been like, I don't know. But coming from Bryce, just, really thinking about all the conversations we had pertaining to sports, especially sports and culture, I thought it just made sense. And then I decided to, all right, let me see, what can I do? Wrote a couple articles, got a lot of feedback from people I didn't even expect to give me feedback. You know what I mean? Like people I haven't spoken to in years. And it seemed like at every turn now, somebody new. Every week I'm meeting somebody. Hey, I know you from that show. Hey, I didn't know you know Bryce. Hey, I didn't know you knew Ramel. You know, that sort of thing. So, but the biggest moment for me was, Scruff, you might remember this. This is when I kind of knew, all right, we cooking with fire here. We're at the PFL event at the Mystics Arena. And we're in press row. We got medium passes. We're in press row. I'm looking around. I'm looking at these guys like, I mean, this is Washington Post. This is, you know what I'm saying? This is the This is XYZ. This is ESPN. Like, this is the who's who, you know what I'm saying, in sports. And we're sitting right there with them. And it didn't feel like we were out of place. You know what I mean? The moment didn't feel too big. Didn't feel like this was something that we couldn't do or we bit off more than we could chew. And then, you know, we're also got access to the fighters. The fighters are walking out and all that. I just knew, like, all right, if this is what it takes to be a member of the media, we can do this and we're gonna kill it. And from my point of view, we've been killing it. We're gonna keep killing it. I think this is episode 19. So really, this thing is in its infancy. And again, this is a network. This isn't just a podcast or a show. So that was kind of my introduction in that moment for me. I really enjoyed just sitting amongst the guys, because I didn't go to school to be a journalist, but at the same time, I didn't feel out of my league. So that was my moment for me.
Word. Shout out to the PFL for them. I know T remembers them lamb chops, man. I know you remember them jokes.
Man. The PFL definitely rolled out the red carpet, man. And like T said, man, this episode 19, another great one in the books, fellas. I mean, I don't think this one could have gone any better, but I feel that way about every episode. So I'll let the people decide. But hey, as always, man, we here. We ain't going nowhere. And let's sign off like we always do. Sports for the culture.
Sports for the culture.
Sports for the culture.